All right, so section 6.5 is called radical and exponential form. Okay, so there's two ways that you're going to do this. You're going to be able to rewrite a radical into exponents, and then you're going to be able to write exponents into radicals. So you're going to learn how to do both, okay, both directions I guess you could call it a conversion, okay? So let me show you the first definition here. So I'm going to put from exponent to radical. Okay, so from exponent to radical. And then later, once we're done with the first three examples, we'll go from radical to exponent. Okay, so we're just going to go back and forth. That's it. All right, so this is what's going to happen. They're going to give you something that's going to look probably like, they don't always have to use a parenthesis, but most of the time they do. If they don't, you can go ahead and put a parenthesis around it. But they're going to give you a value. Maybe it has a number, maybe it doesn't, but it's going to have some kind of variable and number right there. And then it's going to have a power. So P over I. Okay? The reason why I use P over I is because I want the letter P to clue you in that that's the power we're going to use. And the letter I is going to be the index of the radical. Okay? So this is going to become I radical x to the P. And guys, that's all you have to do. You're not going to have to simplify. You're just going to convert it really quick, okay? It does not take long to do. This homework should probably take you less than maybe 8 minutes to do. It's pretty quick, okay? But notice the P, that's the power, and the I is for the index of the radical. Okay, so they're going to give you something in a parenthesis, most likely. If it doesn't have one, you can go ahead and feel free to put it. But they're going to give you a base. That's what it's called. The letter X is called the base. Okay, and then we raise bases to power. So they're going to give you the base, and then they're going to give you a fractional power. Okay, and you're going to get that fractional power, and you're going to convert it into that right side. Use the denominator as your index. Use the numerator of that fraction as your power. Okay, so let me show you how this looks. So we'll put example number 1. And I'm just going to put right here, rewrite or convert to a radical. I think on the homework it's going to say like write in radical form, okay? So I'm just going to say convert to a radical. So here's the first one. Put 5n to the 3 over 2. So 5n to the 3 halves. Remember, the 3 is my power. The 2 is the index. Okay? So this is all I'm going to do. I'll put a little 2 there. I'll put 5n inside because that's everything inside the parenthesis. A big parenthesis right here. And put a power of 3. And I'm done. That's it. Okay, that's all I have to do. So 5n to the 3 halves becomes the square root of 5n all to the 3rd power. And that's it. That's all you're doing. You're converting. That's it. Okay? Notice how the numerator of 3 halves is my p-value. That's my power. So I use it as a power. And then notice how the denominator, that's my index. So I put that on my radical. Now, you might say, do I need to put the 2 there? You don't have to because it's a square root, but I just usually put it just to keep consistent. But since it's a square root, you can actually get rid of it and it'll be okay. But I'm okay with this answer right here. This is the correct answer. So we'll move on. So notice I didn't do anything like work-wise, right? I just converted it and I'm done. Okay? So here's part B. We'll do 10k to the 3/4. So 10k to the 3/4. All right, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Remember, my fraction tells me the power, that's 3. My index is 4, right? So I'm going to write 4th root of 10k to the power of 3. And that's it. What do you guys think? Not too hard, right? You're just converting, that's all. Just rewriting. We'll do one more, and then if you have any questions on this, we'll discuss it. Here's the last one, part C. It is, we'll do n to the, let's just do a 5/2. Now you'll notice this one does not have a parenthesis around the n. Not that you have to do it, but if you want to, you can rewrite it like this. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that, but maybe it's just going to make you feel more comfortable because you're like, well, that's the way the original problem looks like, or the original definition, so I'm going to want to write it out. And then once you do this, what kind of root is this? Is it square root, cube root, 4th root? What do I get? What's my index? 2. So that's square root, right? So 2 right there. The n goes inside, and then I'm going to put a big parenthesis and put a 5. And that's it. The whole front side of your homework looks like this. Okay, there's 6 questions. I just did 2 of them. I know there's 3, but I changed one of them. Okay, but I just did 2 of them for you guys. The back side of your homework is just backwards. So read these examples backwards. So you're going to start with, like for part A, the square root of 5n all to the 3rd power, and I'm going to want you to write it as 5n to the 3/2. That's all. You're just going to convert it the other way. So we're going to go from radical to exponential. Okay? So from radical, so this one was called from exponent to radical. We're going to go from radical to exponent. So let me write down this part right here. So from radical to exponent. It's the same definition, just backwards. So we're not learning a new definition. It's just the one that we just learned. Okay? So if you have something that looks like this, so the index, right? So a radical with an index of x and then to the power of p, all you have to do is write it as x to the p over I. That's it. Just rewrite it. So from radical to exponent. The same thing stand for p and I, so I'm not going to rewrite it. P is a power, I is an index, just like it said up at the top definition. So no need to redefine those. I am going to ask you, though, here, please make sure you put parentheses around whatever's inside of that radical, okay? So if the radical has a 2x, then put a parenthesis around 2x. If inside of the radical it says 7p, then write 7p and put a parenthesis around it. Because if you don't do that, and you don't have to write this down, but I just want to try to make a point really quick. If it looks like this, you're supposed to write it like this. That's your answer, okay? Here's the problem. Notice how I put the parentheses around 7p. I'm saying all of 7p is raised to the 2/3. If you don't put a parenthesis and you just write it like this, then only p is being raised to the 2/3, not the 7. Because that's 7 times p to the 2/3. So that's wrong. Okay? So whatever's inside of here, make sure you put it like that. Because now that's right. As simple as putting a parenthesis around it is the difference between right and wrong. Okay? So when you guys go into exponent form, whatever is inside of your radical, so the radicand, make sure you put parentheses around it and then write your power. Because if you don't, it's wrong. Okay? Because without the parentheses, you only apply the power to the letter, not the number. The only time it's not wrong is if it looks something like this. Let's say, in this case, there's only one letter, so whether or not you put a parenthesis doesn't really matter. This is actually the same as this. It doesn't matter. But just to stay like consistent, just do it. Just put the parentheses around it, okay? Because like I said, if not, it's an easy problem, and to miss it, it's gonna suck, right? To miss a problem like this when it's so easy to do. So, all right, let me give you guys examples for this, and then we're done. So this is going to be example number 2. Convert to exponent form. In part A, let's try this one right here. So cubed root of 4v to the 4th. So the cubed root of 4v to the 4th. Now remember, whatever is inside of the radical, you're going to write it out and then put a parenthesis around it. So this is going to be 4v, like that. Okay? And then use your definition. P over I is your fraction, right? My power is 4. My index is 3. Right? So 4/3. And you're done. That's your answer. Okay? Again, you don't have to do anything. Just write it out. Okay? So like I said, I'm hoping you guys like this homework because it doesn't require a lot of extra effort. It's just kind of like use a quick definition and you should be good. So here's one quick one, and then we're going to do one that's kind of tricky, but it's not really tricky, but it kind of is. It's not harder. It's just, it might mess you up if you're not careful. I mean, I could even say this one's a little tricky, kind of. Right? There's some stuff that they didn't write for us that we should know. All right. So I have the square root of m quantity to the 3rd power. So the thing inside the radical, I'm going to put it in parentheses. So I'm going to do that. Remember, you don't, since it's just one thing, you don't need to put a parenthesis, but just to stay consistent, put parentheses around it, right? It's not going to hurt. And then what's my fraction? 3 over 2, right? Yeah, sorry, I saw your hand after. But yeah, 3 over 2, because there is a 2 right here that we don't get to see, right? They didn't show it to us. So that would be 3 over 2, okay? So this is what I mean by they were trying to be a little tricky with you, okay? And right now I'm going to do another one that they're trying to be a little tricky with you guys as well, okay? But there you go. Nothing too difficult. Last one, and then we're done. So 6th root of 10x. And that's all they give you. The 6th root of 10x. All right, so we'll do what we've always done. The stuff inside of the radical, I'm going to write it out. That's going to be 10x. Okay. What's my fraction? 1 over 6. Yeah, 1 over 6. Because when I ask you what's the power, you don't see it, which means that most likely it looks like this. But that doesn't do anything, so they don't put it, right? Because or else it's just making it look worse. So they didn't put a power, which means that they did, but it's a 1. So this is just going to be a 1 over 6, and there's your answer. So like I said, these are kind of tricky, but they're not like more difficult. You just got to think like, well, where's the power? Why is it missing? Oh, well, it's probably because it's a 1, right? Why is there no index? Well, the only time a radical has no index is when it's a 2, right? So just little questions like that that they're trying to trick you with. But other than that, most of these things are pretty easy. So let me give you guys your homework.